What is up, guys? It's the Sound Alchemist here with
Gersh1.
and today I'm back to answer more questions with
Gersh1.
in another episode of For the Greater. Caught you off guard.
Yeah, this is a video series where we answer the questions left by you, the viewer. If you have a question for us, comment down below. Put a question in front of your question because we get to those questions first. Also, we have super things, so if you guys want your question answered guaranteed, you can by just giving us the super thanks, and then it's going to become a thumbnail question in the next episode. You also don't have to ask us a question. If you want to support the channel, you can with the super thanks. We appreciate you guys doing that, especially because right now I don't even think we're monetized, so no partnership. Thank you guys so much. But let's get into the questions. This one comes from Austin Palmer. Do you think we will ever have the two missing Primarchs return? Well, let's just answer that first.
Yeah, so for the longest time, the missing Primarchs were a means for people to kind of create their own Space Marine legions and incorporate them into the setting. And throughout like the years, we've seen like, oh, they were the Rainbow Warriors, or we've gotten like inklings of like there was statues of the 11th and the 2nd Legion, but they were broken, and Malkador knows who they are, and maybe they weren't all killed off. Maybe some of them went into the Ultramarines Legion, which is why they're so big, and then you have the Rangdang genocide and all that stuff. So there have been more and more information of these two missing Primarchs that GW has officially been putting into their novels. But I don't know if I want them to come back.
Yeah. I agree. I don't think that they should come back, even though Games Workshop seems to be going towards the direction of if the Lost Primarchs were if they were to return, Games Workshop would probably make them chaotic. And the reason I say that is because we've been reading the Primarch series for the Horus Heresy and like the whole Black Library stuff, and it seems like each individual Primarch is super flawed to the point where how did they not all get corrupted by chaos? So if we have a definite like description of like, okay, what happened to the Lost Primarchs, I feel like it's going to be they were corrupted by chaos.
Yeah, because we do. I think they're called what, the Fallen and the Damned.
I think it's the Lost and the Damned.
Lost and the Damned. Yeah. So I mean, potentially that could mean that one of them was damned to chaos. But at the same time, like, it's really fun to kind of speculate and see what other people's takes on this trope could be. So yeah, I don't want to see them come back, because why would we have a missing Primarch come back when GW still hasn't even given us the rest of the Primarchs that we know are still alive?
True. I think having the Lost Primarchs as a way for you to create your own homebrew is really special, because sometimes you don't vibe with any of the loyalists, you don't vibe with any of the chaos ones, even though it's harder because chaos is cool. But like, I don't want to play Jagatai Khan, but I want something speedy. Like, then give me something with like a Lost Primarch kind of thing. So yeah, I think Games Workshop doing that though, they're smart.
Yeah, definitely.
Past Games Workshop used to do or used to make good decisions. Not so much now. Great question. Next one.
This one is by Shibby K. What would the Imperium be like if the Big E conquered Mars and the Cult Mechanicum instead of just allying with them, both during the Great Crusade and in this current era of 40K?
I think there'd be more stagnation. I think the Emperor was shitty at creating diplomacy with the enemy within kind of thing. So having the Adeptus Mechanicus kind of believe in the Omnissiah, tend to their own individuals that turn to the dark arts of technology, that was helpful. Otherwise, it would have just been like the Imperial Guard, and it seems like the Imperial Guard are just kind of like cannon fodder, trying their best to keep up.
Right, yeah. Definitely I don't see them making as much progression technologically wise. And I don't know, I feel like that would take away some of the themes that like separates the Imperium from the AdMech. So maybe we won't have fully robotic things like the Castellan robots. Because again, the Imperium said that all pieces of technology has to have some sort of biological aspect to them. So I think, yeah, we would definitely see less cool Mechanicum stuff, and the Imperium, like you said, would be more stagnant. And I don't think it'd be that easier for the Horus Heresy to happen, because was it Kelbor Hall?
Yep.
He's the one that basically betrayed the AdMech and allied with Horus, and then Horus had like Titans and other types of technology available to him, and that also helped Chaos push forward into the heresy.
Yeah, imagine that. Imagine a Horus heresy where there are no Titans on Chaos side. They wouldn't get far.
Yeah, no, not at all.
So it's a good thing. Or maybe it's the opposite, right? Because if the War Master would have gotten power from the Emperor would have already had the Titans. Maybe Horus would have had control of all of the Titans. So,
Yeah.
But either way, not a good thing. Next question comes from Agustin Montes. Do orcs have any kind of art? Orcs do have art. They constantly do their little orc glyphs and stuff like that. They also, like whenever you look at a orc terrain piece, there's always like graffiti and stuff like that. An orc himself would never admit to being artistic. He just knows what's good and he does it.
Right. You see a lot of this with like feral orcs. They do war paint and stuff like that. The Beast Snagga boys? They've also got some war paint on them as well.
Yeah.
So there is a little bit of, is it art or is it more of like a means to an end? Like I'm painting my face this way to appear more feral or more imposing.
I think that, yeah, for sure, like orcs painting themselves purple to be sneaky, that's
Right.
a means to an end. But I think there is an element of creativity that orcs will never admit to, of just being like, I want to make my snaz gun look the snazziest.
Yeah.
So that kind of thing, for sure. Orcs are very creative if you read the lore.
Oh yeah. I mean, look at the things they create. It's so wacky and crazy, but it works.
Yeah. Next question.
Austin Palmer. So I like the look of Chaos stuff, but honestly the lore and relatability of regular Marines make me like them much more. I like their honor and nobility, and Chaos crying and running to some narcissistic god to get strong just seems like a cop-out of the whole slave mind route. That doesn't pull me in as much no matter what the lore is trying to say, like trying to justify bad behavior, but they still get the shit end of the stick, so that's not very cool. Like, sick, I got 2 dicks, or I carry a big axe, but I'm a slave to a dark god. That's just bad trade in my opinion. What's yours?
I don't think so. I don't see it that way. I think that Chaos is more nihilistic, of just kind of like none of this really matters. The Emperor doesn't know what he's doing because he's on the throne. So it's more of an acceptance of like, the Chaos gods also don't know what they're doing, but I get cool tentacles. So like,
Yeah.
why am I not going to do that? And you have to remember that Space Marines don't like the Imperium, don't like humanity. They see the weakness in them. Unless you're dealing with the Salamanders or a chapter that's specifically like friendly towards humanity, the majority of Space Marines are cocky. So to me, it just makes sense that the Chaos Gods would pull Space Marines into like their whole web, because it's like, yeah, of course I want to become a better fighter, the thing that I was bred for. No, I don't care about humanity, honor, and all that kind of stuff. But then also that probably speaks to who you are at your core and who I am at my core.
Right. Almost like the whole presidential thing. You've got the God Emperor dying on the throne, Biden. What do I get from him? Nothing. So I could go and praise the chaos gods, Trump, and what do I get? A stimulus package.
Maybe.
Maybe, yeah.
there's
That I
no
have to
hope.
pay for later on.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I got all these tentacles, 2 dicks, a big axe. Oh, I got one too many things, now I'm a spawn.
Yeah. That's a good comparison.
Yeah.
But again, it's kind of just like, well, let's see what happens with like the craziness. And I think that's what Chaos Space Marines are.
Because you don't know what's going to happen. And it's
Yeah.
like the what if.
Yeah. I also agree with you that Chaos Space Marines, especially the new models, like the Possessed, look so much better. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good question, though. Next one.
This one is by Paul Johnson. What sort of named character do we need, and which faction should have one?
I think the Necrons are lacking like a good named character that isn't super OP like the Void Dragon or the Silent
like
King.
Trazian.
But they're not. He's not a good fighter, right?
Yeah,
he's just
just
kind of like a.
He's like a lore device. Like he's got his was it like a museum of like collections and stuff like that.
Yeah, like that's what I don't like about Necron named characters. Great for the lore, but on the tabletop it just doesn't make sense. Whereas like the Imperial Guard, Commissar Yarick, you have what's the dude?
The tank commander.
Yeah. The one
Creed.
Creed.
Who died?
Well, I mean, both died, but like the whole point is like they're out there fighting on the tabletop, so it feels good to play them on the tabletop. Whereas like playing somebody as like critical to the lore of the Necrons doesn't seem right.
Yeah, and it's not just that, but like GW as the, I guess, 9th edition, or was it 10th edition? They took out a lot of named characters from a lot of codices.
Yeah.
So it's like it's getting harder to have named characters. Like the Necrons had Oberon and like another Necron Lord, and they're not a thing anymore. You had WAAAGH, he's not a thing anymore. So it's like you do get named characters, but I feel like GW is only pushing the ones that have models and have novels dedicated to them so that more people can buy them, instead of having all these named characters that don't really have much lore.
Yeah. So GW fix it by creating models and lore. You would think, though, that Games Workshop would see, like, okay, WAAAGH is being played this much. We should probably create a book by him, or for him.
Yeah.
But they don't. Next question. I have one from Agustin Montes again. Are Dark Eldar chaos?
So the simple answer is no. The Dark Eldar are still Eldar, and they hate anything that has to do with the Chaos Gods, especially Slaanesh. So why would they go ahead and praise their mortal enemy? But at the same time, they're all about inflicting pain and sadism. And who does that feed? Slaanesh.
Yeah. Remember, though, that evil is not chaos.
Right.
Chaos is chaos. And it could be like you being super honorable in battle, that helps Khorne. You being inquisitive, that helps Tzeentch. So those are all positive traits. So whenever a character in 40K exhibits some type of emotion, it feeds chaos somehow. But it doesn't necessarily mean that it's bad. Chaos is just chaos.
Right.
So, yeah, the Dark Eldar, although not allied with the Chaos Gods, still feed the Chaos Gods. Especially because they're so psychically powerful.
Right.
Yeah. And then, actually, this will be the last question. How did you come up with your name?
It's a very simple answer. Gershwin has always played the orcs, and I've had a very weeaboo-ness to the Tau. So what do the Tau slogans say? For the greater good. And what do the orcs say?
WAAAGH.
So we just combined it. We did the fusion dance, and we have for the greater.
And those were the questions for today. If you guys have more questions for us, please comment down below. Thank you guys so much for watching and hanging out with us for so long. We will talk tomorrow.
That's right. As always, it's been the Sound Alchemist here with
Gershwin.
and we are out.
Oh, what if you could put my freedom back in any